Today we are going to create the standard form from solutions of our x values. One way you can find the solutions to a quadratic function is to factor each equation and then set each factor equal to 0. We can reverse the solving steps to each of the quadratic equations in standard form. So the steps that we're going to be taking today is we're going to set each solution to equal x. So in this case, we have our solutions down for example 1. We're going to have two solutions. So we want to set each one of them showing that they equal x. The next step is for each solution, the equations get 0 on one side. So in order to get 0 for this first problem, we need to subtract 1 from both sides. If we subtract 1 from both sides, we get x minus 1 on the left expression. And on the right expression, 1 minus 1 becomes a 0, exactly what we wanted. We can do the same steps to the next side, subtracting 7 from both sides, giving us x minus 7 equals 0. We're going to put both factors, that is our parts that are equal to 0, in parentheses and then multiply using double distribution. So in this case, we will create x minus 1 in parentheses and x minus 7 in parentheses. And this all equals 0 still. So that was step 4. Make sure your equation is set to equal to 0. Since both of these equal 0, it doesn't matter which x value or solution we plug in, the entire equation would equal 0. That's why we're allowed to do this. From here, we can do double distribution. Now I'm going to create some space. So that I can actually write all this down. But if we were to distribute this, that'd be x times x, which is x squared, x times negative 7, which is negative 7x. Let me write that a little better. The negative 1 times x, which is just negative x. And our last piece, negative 1 times negative 7, which gives us a positive 7. And this still all equals 0. Now if you remember from our double distribution video, in this case we should have like terms in the middle. Which means we're going to combine those. Negative 7x minus x gives me a negative 8x. We still have the x squared in our equation. We still have the plus 7. And it's still equal to 0, because this part is just simplifying the equation. And in this case, we put this in standard form. Now some of them that are going to be more steps would be like number 4, where you would have x equals 7/3, and x equals 0. The right expression is already set to 0, so we don't need to do anything there. But our left expression has two steps. We need to multiply by 3 to get rid of our fraction. After we multiply by 3 to get rid of the fraction, then we would subtract 7 from both sides. So now our two expressions that we have are 3x minus 7, and we have x. If we create the parentheses for this, that is 3x minus 7. And since x is the only term in this expression, we can just write it on the outside of the parentheses. It still shows that it is multiplying to the entirety. And we still set it to equal 0. This time we don't need double distribution, since there is only one term for the first one. Sorry for the shaky hands. But we have x times 3x, which gives us 3x squared, and x times negative 7, which gives us negative 7x. And this still all equals 0. So in standard form, our a value would be 3, our b value would be negative 7, and then our c value would be 0, since we do not have a constant. Now you can continue this process throughout, but it's going to be the same steps on each one.